Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Testing Many Bytes. I am your friend Amudan Shaktivel. Today we will see one of the most interesting topic that I have took so far. Okay, so how we can use custom annotations in Selenium framework. Again, this might be very new to you, but I'm here to help you understand what it is. Now, first we understand how to add a author's name or your test groups in the extend report. Again, so we will see what is a problem with that approach. Okay, we will be hard coding that in the test case. So this is kind of not looking good when you are creating a framework of of your for your company. This is not good approach. So how we know annotations can help us to solve this issue. That's what we're going to see. Okay, this is what going to be the agenda. We're going to create a new custom annotation for our Selenium framework, which helps us to log the author details and the groups, the test cases groups. Suppose a particular test case is belonging to smoke or regression, I want to log it in the external report so that I can get a better view about which functionality is working fine and which functionality is not working fine, right? So if you haven't watched my extended report playlist, I will leave the link in the description. Please do watch that, where I have explained about all these things in detail. Good. So we will see what is annotation. We'll also see how some practical implementation of annotations, how we can create our own annotations, and how we can use it in our framework. Okay, that's what going to be the agenda for today's topic. Again, guys, if you're new to this particular channel, please do subscribe after watching this whole video. If you liked it, please do subscribe. And if you think the video is little slow, please change the playback settings to 1.5 or 2 so that you don't feel any slowness. Okay, without wasting much time, let's get started. Okay, so this is a some test case that we created in Amazon website. So what it normally does, it opens a hamburger menu and clicks on the computer, and then it then clicks on a submenu item called a laptop. So because this is the value that's coming from your Excel sheet. Again, if you're new here, please do watch the previous video so that you can understand. Again, if you are not watching it, that is absolutely fine. I'll try to do enough justice to make you understand. Okay, what I'm doing, I'm clicking on laptops and getting the title. I'm checking whether the title is not null. That's what I'm doing. So this is the assertions coming from your assertj library, not from test.ng assertions. Good. So this is a simple test, right? So now there is a requirement that I want to add. Suppose say there is two guys who worked on this particular test case, Amudan and say Sachin. Okay, two guys have worked on this particular project. I want to log this in the extended report. So if there is some defect, some no such element exception or some script issue with this particular test, then I can ask them to, as a lead, I can ask them to work on that. Okay, that's what the whole agenda is all about, right? So let's see how we can do that. Okay, first, without using annotations, let's see. Now, we have extend manager class, and then we are using this get extend methods at default because we want to restrict this to only the package. But for now, I'm just changing this back to public so that I can access from my test class. Good. Now I have extend manager dot get extend test. Okay, dot, there is an option called assign author. Okay, here you can assign author names. Okay, so suppose if you say this is developed by Amudan as well as, okay, Sachin. So you can log this. Again, you can also do multiple things like you can also assign category. You can also assign a category like, okay, this belongs to smoke test, and this is also belongs to your mm, regression as well. Okay, so this particular test case is very important, so that you need to cover it in smoke as well as regression. Okay, I want to log all these things into the report. So that's it. So once you do this, okay, if I run the test now, okay, these details will be logged in the external report. Okay, run as test ng suite. Again, this is just a use case that I found, how we can use annotations in the report in the Selenium framework. But if you have any other use case, something like this, you can still use that. Okay, I think the Chrome is now launched. Okay, and everything should work fine. Okay, but this time in the report, okay, we will see a new trend. Okay, we will get the details about who has created these things. Okay, if you notice in the main test, we are seeing Sachin and Amudan here, regression and smoke. So these are all the four things that we have added, right? If you notice, there are two extra icons here. One is category. So we have run test case that belongs to two categories. One is regression and one is smoke. Again, both of them got passed. If some of them got failed, it also will be reported in red color here. Okay, so the category is two, total category is two, and then we also have authors like say Amudan and Sachin. Whatever they have developed, it's all passed. Okay, even if you go to the dashboard, if you notice, the Amudan and Sachin is here, and whatever the test cases they have graded all got passed. Okay, and whatever the regression test we ran, that also got passed on all the smoke tests that we have run. So also got passed. Again, you might not be able to get what is the advantage of having this, because if you run a big regression shoot having 1,000 test cases, you will get lot of author names here, lot of tags here, and you can find easily which particular thing is causing the whole issue. Okay, either it's a script developed by Amudan is causing the issue, or someone is causing the issue. Or you can also break down in terms of functionality. Suppose I have a tag called login test case. Okay, then only the login page has some problem, so we can go and debug it manually. So this is the use case of this, right? So but as I already told, I want my test case to be very clean. So if you notice, this is the test case that we have written. It's very clean. Okay, it's free from all of the extra chaos. So that's what I don't want this to be hard coded here. What's a better thing to do then? Okay, this for this we're gonna use annotation, but we don't know what is annotation, right? I haven't came across annotations so far. We are using this attest for a very long time, guys. So we've been using this for a very long time, but we never thought about how these guys have developed this. Okay, so what I have done, I just gone inside this. Okay, if you notice, this is an annotation test. A test is annotation, and before method is an annotation, all the stuff. Okay, if you notice, it looks like very complex code they have written here. Okay, I don't understand what this is all about. Okay, let me break down into very simple things. Okay, if you notice, if you have a class, we normally mention public class and the class name. Okay, here if you notice, they have mentioned interface, but they have an at the rate symbol before. So whenever you are typing at the rate and then followed by a interface, then it means it's a annotation. Again, annotation is not interface, maybe a specialized form of interface. Okay, you can think like that, but it has nothing to do with interface. Okay, but the next thing, okay, it is a separate entity in Java. Like you have classes, you have enums, you have interfaces. The same way, annotations are completely different. Okay, annotations cannot directly impact your code, guys. Okay, it has no direct impact to your code. The only thing, you if you want to use annotations in your code, you have to use reflections. Again, Java reflections is something. Suppose you have a house, you have two ways. Okay, you have a front door and a back door. But a reflection is something you go behind the door. Okay, use the back door to access something. Okay, that's what reflection is all about. Again, this might not be the definite exact definition for reflection, but still I'm trying to give a quick glimpse about reflection. If you don't know what it is, okay, it's an indirect way to access variables or methods, okay, from your classes. Okay, so good. So this is an annotations, right? So they have something on top of it. Okay, the annotation is having another annotation, two annotation on top of this. Okay, let's go here, okay, to our test, and then also understand. Suppose I type here. Okay, suppose I can set the priority equal to 1. So sorry guys, there's a spelling mistake. So priority equal to 1. Okay, what is this? Okay, this is a element. Okay, we call this as this whole thing as an element. Okay, so this is element. Okay, the attest itself is annotation, and whatever we are writing inside the brackets is element. You can, this is, you can name it as a key value. Okay, something like this. Or this, if you want a exact term, you can define this as a parameter, and this is a value. Okay, so what are all other things that you can do? We can add multiple elements to this particular annotation. Okay, so what else we can do? We can do invocation count. Okay, we can set the invocation count to 5. What else we can do? And I can also check description. Okay, description equal to some description. You can do all these things. But if I type some 3 here, okay, will it accept? See, it's throwing error. What is telling? Cannot convert from int to string. So where they have defined that the description should be of string type, where they have defined, suppose if I tell something like this here. Okay, they are telling cannot convert from string to int, where they have defined all these things. They have defined everything inside this particular guy. Okay, so since a customer, suppose you have an annotation, it cannot extend another annotation. It does not have any constructors, it does not have any methods. But whatever the elements that you are seeing here looks like some method, right? So If you notice, we have used priority. Okay, if you go down, we have something called as priority. Okay, it looks like a method. So it's like looks like a method which is returning, you know, uh, integer and method. You know, this is like a method name, right? So, and there is something called as default 0. So I don't know all these things. How can I understand all these things? Okay, that's what we are having a parameter called priority. Okay, that will accept a integer. Okay, why this default? Okay, what if I don't give this default? Okay, if you don't give this default, okay, then what will happen? It will become a mandatory parameter that you, whenever you are denoting a test on top of your method, you have to use priority. Otherwise it will throw error. Okay, this is some basic idea about how we can understand people using uh, annotations, right? So testng guys have already used this. If you notice, we can use all the primitive types. Okay, boolean, integer, they are all primitive types. Okay, you can also return a class type. You can also return string array. Suppose we can also return class array. Okay, so what are the key things that I have to remember when using annotation? Okay, annotation does not support inheritance, guys. You cannot extend annotation with another annotation. It's not possible. Okay, creating instance for an annotation using new operator is not possible because we don't have a constructor obviously there. It does not hold any methods or constructors. Okay, so what we are seeing here, these are all just elements. Okay, though it looks like a method, right? If you normally write it in the class, okay, how will I write? Suppose I have a public int, say method name is name, and then I have something like this. Or if you have an abstract method, how will you write this? Okay, you will write like this, right? So this is how you write it. Okay, so maybe it's asking me, so it's asking me to change this to abstract. That's fine, but if you remember, the method is telling us it's going to return int and it's an abstract type. The same way it is here. Okay, if you notice, the suite name, this is also same, but this time this is returning string. Okay, and then the default indicates if they are not giving any name for the suite, add it as a empty string. That's what they have given. Okay, that's why you don't have to mention any of these parameters mandatorily, since they have used everything as a default, everything with the default at the end. Okay, I will come back to these two annotations later, but for now understand. Okay, uh, your annotation can only declare attributes of primitive type. Okay, maybe it's integer, your long, your boolean, all the stuff. You can also return string, or it cannot return, it can hold string or class or enum or string array or class array or enum array. Okay, this is what it can hold. Okay, we will see all these things in detail, guys. Don't worry about it. Even if you don't understand, that's okay. We will see about everything practically now. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I have some I have created a test case. Okay, let's try to access this particular value at the runtime using reflections. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this is a very simple test case with a particular description. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell, I'm going to inject this guy method m. So this is coming from your java reflections, right? This method is coming from your java.lang.reflect. Let me hover my mouse and import it from reflect. Okay, once you do this, you can get the annotation, whatever the annotation this particular method is having. Okay, this particular method is having a test annotation, right? I want to get that annotation. Okay, so what I'm telling, get annotation. So if you notice, there's a lot of overloaded method, but if you notice, there is a get annotation that accepts a class variable. Okay, that accepts a class variable. Okay, what I can do, I want get the annotation which is of type test, right? This is test type. Okay, this is a test. We can imagine it's a test dot class. Okay, so what I can tell, I want to get a guy called test dot class. So this method is having annotation of test class. I want to get that guy, and then inside that, if you notice, it's giving me all the options to get the values. You can get the data provider value if this method is having some data provider values, all the stuff. But here, my intention is to get the description. Okay, all good. Let's try to print the description, whether it's printing the description fine or not. Okay, this is how we can use reflection. Okay, and then we can try to operate on this. Okay, let me try to run this simple test and then understand. Okay, that we can access this particular description using reflections. Okay, if you notice, it is printing me these values. Okay, that's a good thing about it. Again, also I have learned all these things from the report, guys. So if I don't give any description, right, if I don't give some description here, okay, then if I run this simple test, okay, it will print me empty, because by default this guy will return empty string. Okay, the description is having a default value of uh, empty string, right? If you notice, this has printed me an empty string. I cannot view it because it's an empty string, but there is a space that indicates there is an empty string here. Okay, so even if you notice the test method, they are using some logging here. For that also, they are using some reflections. They are using some reflections to understand what is the parameter that is being passed here. Okay, if I do a control Z, I go here. If I again run the test, if you note, just remember there is the test method that what it logged. It's telling just testing test. Okay, there's a method name, and then it's also telling what is the parameter, but it does not have any description, so it didn't logged here. Okay, now when I run this again, okay, using reflections they will understand what is the description of this method, and then they will append it in the report. That's what they are doing. Even if you go to the test ng report, they are using a lot of reflections there. Okay, so if you notice, the reflection is also printing here. It's because they are using some reflections to do all this purpose for us. Okay, so now we have understood enough about these things. Okay, but the important reason that we can access this particular description at the runtime is because in the test class they have mentioned this as retention policy as runtime. Okay, it retention policy runtime indicates that you can access this using reflections. Okay, there are other things as well for this. It's a retention policy. So if you go here, it has source, class, and then runtime. Okay, three values, three enum values. Okay, if you notice, annotations can are to be discarded by the compiler. Okay, if you give source, if you are using some build, some, again, we are not use this source, but it's out of scope for this lecture. But if you are using class, it will be available once you compile this .java file to a .class file. It will be available in the .class files. That's what they are telling here. Okay, but it cannot be accessed via Java reflections. But when you have this as a runtime, then it will be accessed via runtime by reflections. That's what it's telling. Okay, so important thing that we need to understand: if you give runtime, you need to give the access as runtime so that you can access via reflections. And then what is the target? Okay, where you can annotate this particular guy. Okay, there are different types. Okay, if you tell method, which means you can add at the rate test to only methods. Okay, you cannot add, suppose if there is a variable here, okay, private string a, some variable here, I cannot add at test over this. Okay, it will clearly tell you cannot add this here. Okay, suppose if we go here, the annotation at test is disallowed for this location. This is not allowed here. You cannot annotate a field variable because they haven't given the access. Okay, that's what it is all about. So even if you go to the test, you have two options: either to annotate your method or your type means you can annotate the class level, so you can put at the rate test. Okay, that's what the two things. Now, without wasting much time, right, now we also understood how we can access all these things. Okay, let me remove these things. Okay, let us try to create our own annotation and try to resolve the issue that we have here. Okay, if you don't understand, just wait for 2 minutes, you will understand everything. Okay, now what I'm gonna create my own custom annotation. Okay, how long we're gonna use all the testing annotations? It's boring. So I'm gonna create my own annotation. Okay, maybe I'll create a package because the code looks little clumsy. So let me also remove this. Okay, and okay, let me create a new package, com.annotations. Okay, here I'm going to create a new annotation. Okay, not of class type, not of enum, it's of annotation. Okay, I'm going to create an annotation. Okay, let me name it as, okay, framework annotation. Okay, because I'm going to use it in my framework. So is it okay to give framework annotation as name? You can give your own name. Okay, but give something very reasonable. Okay, now it is asking me what is the retention type. Okay, you can choose source, but I'm not going to choose source or class because I cannot use reflections to access this at runtime. So I'm just choosing runtime. And then what is the target? Where do you want to add this particular framework annotation? For my case, I want to use it only on the method layer. Okay, if you want to use it on the local variable, type parameter, package, where you want to use it, I just want to use it at the method level, so that in other places they cannot use this. Okay, let me click on finish. Now we have created our own annotations, guys. So what we need to first hold, okay, now we have mhm, we have a case where we want to store string. Okay, consider only one guy is developing your test case. Okay, say author, say author, you can have only one person to create your test. Then we can create something like this. Okay, I'm going to create an element that's going to hold a string value, and the name is author. Okay, this looks like a method, but it's not a method, guys. So again, if I give like this, okay, then I can go to my Amazon demo test, and on top of this I can also add at the rate framework annotations. Now we have given our annotation, right? But this is throwing some error. What is it throwing? Okay, add the missing attributes, because I haven't given a default value, guys. So since I haven't given default value, it is asking me to give the value for the author. It is mandatory for you to give the author equals Amudan. So in this way, if I use, okay, I can easily set the values here instead of writing it in my and inside the code, and then mutating my test. That's not good, right? So here I can do that. But here I want to also add multiple authors. Okay, if your use case is just to store string, you can use until here. But if it is not the case, then you can use string array. So I'm going to hold a string array. Now if I go to the test method, this particular class again, okay, I want to add multiple guys. Okay, this is the exact way we use, right, the groups. So also searching, okay, now looks fine. So I don't need to do these two things anymore. Okay, I will read it using reflections at runtime, and then I can pass it to my extend report. That's okay, I can do that. Now I also have one more case where I want to assign the category. It's also of your string array. I can use the same concept. So public string array, let me name it as uh, category. That's what they have used, right? Category. Okay, this is also, I'm not using any default value. If you want, you can use some default values, guys. So I'm not using any default values, so they have to definitely. So now it's throwing error, so give some missing attributes. So I can just give add missing attributes, and then use this particular smoke. And I also want to add this to regression, something like this. Now every error is gone. Now I can remove this from my code. Okay, using reflections, how we can add it to our uh, report. That's what the next case, right? So let me go to the listeners. We have listeners to everything, right? It's a saver, it can save a lot of time for us. Okay, let me go to the listener class, where I have already used for whenever a test is getting started, I'm creating a test. Okay, and then logging the description in the test. After that, I also want to add the author name as well as the category. Okay, I want to do that. Okay, first let me go to this extend report and then create two methods. Okay, so I can create a public static white, and add authors. This is going to accept a string array. Okay, this is going to accept a string array, and it will, so maybe I'll name it as authors. Sorry guys for the typo. Okay, now I have one method. I'll also create one more method, add category. Okay, categories, maybe it's more reasonable. String array, categories, good. Control A and control I for the alignment. And here what I can do, I can add that. Okay, extend manager dot get extend test dot, what I want to do, I want to assign author. But the author is of string, it's accepting a string, right? So what I can do, I can iterate through the using a for loop, because it's a string array. I want to get the values from that. Okay, so what I can do, I can use a for each loop. Okay, I'm iterating authors here. uh, Sorry, it's of string type, right? String temp authors. Okay, I'm iterating authors array, and then I'm logging everything inside that. So extend manager dot, again guys, we can use for each loop, or you can use stream, and then lambda or method references to do this. But yeah, but for now I'm using a simple for each loop. get extend test, and then I want to assign author, whatever the temporary author that we have, I'll assign here. Okay, so this will do the job for me. The same way, I'm copying this. Okay, pasting it here. Instead of this, I'm iterating this particular guy, and that's it. So once you do all these things, now it's our duty to call this method from this listener. Okay, I go to this listener class. Okay, let's try to get the method reflections, right? We want the method type. If you notice very closely, this method is coming from your java.lang.reflect. Okay, so we need to get that. That's the ultimate goal. Okay, let's go to the listener class and then type. Okay, I cannot inject a new method here. Okay, I cannot do that because it's a method coming from your um, this particular itest listener interface. Okay, I cannot change the parameters here. Also, if you notice, this override is also an annotation, right? So it tells the Java compiler it is overriding some particular method from your parent interface or class. Good. So here what I want to do, I want to get the particular reflection. So what I can tell, get okay, let me try to get the method. This method is giving me only itest method, but the thing that what I need is method coming from your java.reflections. Okay, okay, let's try to get this first. And then there is a thing called get constructor or method. That's also giving me itestng method. Okay, fine, that's okay. I want here, if you notice, this particular get method is giving me method type. So this is what we are looking for. Okay, get this guy. Okay, one, this is same like injecting a method m, right? So injecting same, we have easily done like this, but the same m variable, here we have to do this much thing. It's okay, it's just a one time effort, right? So now what I can tell, the same thing. Okay, get annotation. Okay, this time I want to get the annotation whatever this method is having. So this method is having two annotation. What the annotation I am interested in framework annotation that I have created. Once I get this guy, okay, there is an option. Okay, I can get the, suppose if you notice, it is giving me the author array and category array. Okay, now I want to call this author array. So this will give me a string array, right? So what I can do, I can directly call extend report dot add authors. Okay, and then pass this string array the same way. Okay, extend report dot add categories. Okay, you can copy this whole thing. Okay, and then instead of authors, okay, you can call category. Now we are calling these two methods. Okay, if you go here, what it'll do, it'll iterate through the author array, and then it will log all the authors into the this particular extent test. Looks fine. Will this work? Okay, let's check it out, guys. So if you notice, we have removed the whatever that we have. So now it should work. Let's see. Again, guys, if the video is little lengthy, please excuse me, because I'm trying to cover all the things that you want to know about annotations, right? You cannot if you use something that we don't know. Okay, now most of the companies are giving assignments to do, the guys. So you have to create your own framework and do some assignments. Create a framework with a custom annotation, guy. You will definitely land in a job. Okay, these are all things that can easily attract companies, right? So they normally don't do all these things. They will be interested to know what is this custom annotation. So please try to incorporate all these things. Okay, so if you notice, we have achieved the same thing, guys, without any difference. Okay, with the help of java reflections. Again, it has logged this smoke regressions. Okay, author is, I think there is two times the author is being called. Okay, I think I have made a copy paste error here. If you notice, instead of adding categories, okay, out authors looks fine for me. Okay, go here. Mhm. Extend report. Think I would have done some mistake. Was the author, just a minute. Smoke regressions is not an author, it should be logged in the category. Okay, there seems to be something wrong. So the mistake is here, guys. When I do the copy paste, I forgot to change this particular method. Okay, so it should be assign category, and then whatever the temporary variable that I'm getting, so I'm just passing this here. And if I run this test now, it should work absolutely fine. Okay, so this is what we are trying to achieve with the help of custom annotations, and we have already done this. please do incorporate all these things in your framework, guys, and then submit your assignments for an interview. I'm sure that you will get selected, because the interviewer will be very curious to know about all these things, how you have developed these things. Okay, it's obviously, if you you are an expertise in whatever you are doing, people may hire you easily. Okay, this time the report should open automatically, and this time it should log it properly. Okay, now we have two tags. One is a category tag where I have smoke and regression, and also have Amudan and Sachin for the authors. I think we have covered what we want to cover in this particular topic. I hope you all have enjoyed and learned something new. I see you in another interesting topic and another interesting video, guys. Again, if you are new to this channel, if you like the video, please do subscribe and share it with your friends. Thanks all for listening to me. Have a good day.